Whenever we look at people that are consistently successful, we know this. It doesn't matter where they start, what field they're in, what hand they're dealt, they find a way to win. They find a way to improve. They find a way to grow. They find a way to add value. And it's really important to understand, it's not that they've mastered certain skills. It's that they've mastered a certain mindset. What do we know about our mindset and our habits? Your habits aren't just a result of what you do. Your habits are a result of how you think. And this is why your mindset matters so much in leadership. The best leaders just think differently. How do you get out of bed each morning? Option A, do you wake up naturally? There's no alarm, you just wake up and you attack the day. Option B, do you wake up to your alarm? Your alarm sounds, and then you get up immediately. Or option C, do you wake up to your alarm, and then it hits snooze? Do you wake up to your alarm, and then you hit snooze, and then you stay in bed for 10 minutes more? Well, the majority of you most likely do option 3. According to a new study done at the University of Notre Dame, 57% people hit the snooze button. That's almost 6 in 10 people hit the snooze button. Now, if you're not a morning person, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to try to shame you or to try to turn you into a morning person. So do not hear that in this teaching. I want you to know your body and roll with how you function best. But I want you to think about this. What happens when your annoying, abrasive alarm sounds? What it does, according to research, is it triggers the part of your brain called the amygdala. That's the fight or flight part of your brain. And when that alarm goes off, your heart rate soars and adrenaline rushes through your body. And then what do 57% of people do? Well, in the name of a few more minutes of sleep, they hit snooze. And 10 minutes or so later, the alarm goes off again, putting them through the same biological torment, okay? Research actually shows that this can negatively impact your health, your mood. According to one article I read, it can clog your blood vessels, and it can eventually increase the risk of heart problems. I want to ask you to consider the habit of no snooze. Why does this matter? What it actually does is it changes your mindset. The no snooze habit creates a different way of thinking about the day. In other words, you aren't letting your body lead you, you're leading your body into a great day. And what you're doing when your alarm goes off, or better yet, when you just wake up early, is you're telling yourself that the first part of your day matters. Why is this so important? I would tell you that you want to start early, or if you can't start early, at least start strong. For me, I start early. And honestly, I'm generally the first person to the office. I am never, ever under any circumstances here past 8 a.m. If I'm not here at 8 a.m., send help. I'm usually here several hours earlier than that. And one of the reasons is because my body is wired that way. Again, work with how your body is wired. But I know when I go to bed at night, I'm not gonna hit snooze in the morning. So what I do is I go to bed at a decent time. And this is important, since I'm already thinking about tomorrow, I actually plan my day for the next day, the day before, because this is in my mindset. And because I'm kind of in the organized mindset, when I go to bed, guess what? My mind is more at rest, and so my body tends to rest better. I want you to think about this. If I can sleep mostly straight through the night, I don't need to stay in bed as long as some people. If you don't sleep long, you may be in bed an hour or two longer than I am. And think about this. If I spend 1 hour less in bed, instead of say 8 hours, I spend 7 hours and still get good quality sleep. That's 1 additional hour I have a day. If you do this, if you get 1 additional hour a day, that's 365 hours a year. Do the math with me. I know this is nerdy, but hang with me. If a normal work day is 8 hours, we would have the equivalent of almost 45 extra work days a year. Mind-blowing. That's a month and a half of productivity if you simply get good sleep, get out of bed, and have 1 less hour a day in bed. That is a total game changer. So when the alarm goes off, you've got the habit of no snooze, or better yet, one day, no alarm, because your body is trained to get up. What are you doing? You're getting up at a fixed time. It gives you time to prioritize whatever helps you win the day. It's a mindset. And what we know about successful leaders is there's no set formula for a morning routine, but most of the most successful leaders do have intentionality into their morning. From the moment you wake up, you're on a mission. You got a plan. You're on the offense. You're going to win the day. Consider the habit of no snooze. Now, what's another quality of successful leaders? Successful people, successful leaders, they train themselves to think ahead or to decide early. Number 2 habit that you want to adopt is this, the habit of pre-deciding, the habit of deciding ahead of time. And this habit applies very, very broadly. The basic principle is this: anytime you can make a decision ahead of time, make it. Anytime you can automate a decision, automate it. And there's several reasons why you want to do this. First, decision fatigue is a very real thing. Studies are conclusive, and I would encourage you to research this if you never have, that the decisions you make, the more decisions you make, the more the quality of your decisions deteriorate, that you just get tired making decisions. And so as often as you can, decide ahead of time. Decide once and automate that decision. And how you apply this mindset, it's up to you. But for me, I apply it into too many categories to count. For example, I mentioned earlier how I prepare for the next day. For me, a successful day starts the night before. And so when I wake up the next day, I've already pre-decided my morning routine. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to eat. This is nerdy, but my food is already out. My little oatmeal sitting out, my bowl sitting out, my spoon sitting out. It's just ready, so it's easy for me to attack the day. I know what I'm going to wear. My clothes are already out, all the way down to my socks, my shoes, my belt, and other items I'm not going to mention on this podcast. What I'm taking to work is not already out, but it's already loaded in my car to save me time so I can attack the day when I hit the office. My priorities for that day were set the day before. I pre-decided the day before what I'm going to attack the day I get to the office. And sometimes people will ask me like, how do you get so much done? And the answer is, it starts with prioritizing or pre-deciding to schedule first what matters most. You pre-decide to do what's important so you don't just do what's urgent. When it comes to scheduling, I pre-decide to put my time into blocks. I block my time. I've got a study day. There's almost never anything get on my calendar on Tuesday. That day is blocked off, and I start really, really early, and I lock myself in, don't talk to anybody. That time's blocked off. I've got time to brainstorm. I've got time for meetings. I've got time blocked off for decisions. For me, I don't want to make decisions until all the other stuff is off my mind, so I'll be more fresh. I make decisions on Thursday. So people have things they want me to decide. We talk about them on Thursday. So I pre-decided when I'm at my best to do my best work. My priorities dictate my schedule. We're going to pre-decide. I want to encourage you to have the habit of pre-deciding. Do first what matters most. How might this apply in your leadership? Well, you might be wanting to work on developing your people. So you pre-decide. You have quarterly one-on-one meetings. You don't just occasionally meet with your team, but you put it on the calendar, and once a quarter you sit down and you have real, loving, caring, developmental conversations. Or your meetings might not be very productive right now. So you pre-decide that you start each meeting with an agenda, and you end each meeting with assignments and accountability. If you don't have an agenda, if you don't have a plan, and if you don't have an action on the end, why are you having the meeting in the first place? So you pre-decide this is how we do meetings. And this applies to every area of your life. If you want to be successful financially, most people just kind of spend what comes in. As it comes in, it goes out. But you might pre-decide, I'm a giver. The first 10% I give to my church. The next 10% I invest. If you do that alone, you're going to be way more successful. First 10 here, the next 10 there, and then you spend the rest. In your marriage, same thing. You might pre-decide date nights or whatever night of the week. Or we have one getaway a year with no kids. We've pre-decided we're not going to one day do this. This is a part of who we are. Same with your physical body. I pre-decide my snacks. The reason is because if I don't and someone brings donuts, the donuts will get me, okay? So you pre-decide, I'm working out at these times. One more thought about pre-deciding, and this will sound counterintuitive, but it can be a game changer. You might pre-decide not only when your day starts, but you might pre-decide when your work day ends. This sounds counterintuitive. My day starts earlier than most people's, but my day also ends earlier than most people. I leave the office almost every day by 3:45. I have a hard stop to my day. You say, well, how do you get so much done? By pre-deciding an end time, it really does three things for me. Number one, it causes me to make decisions faster because I've got an end time to my day. Two is it helps me say no to things that I shouldn't be doing. I'm more selective. And number three, it helps me delegate what others can do. What did I do? I pre-decide a start to the day. I pre-decide an end to the day, and it makes me more productive. I would argue that I'm more productive by pre-deciding an end time than if I stayed an extra hour or two. My pre-decided end time makes me more productive. You may say, okay, how did you get to this level of efficiency? And the answer is by living for years in the pain of inefficiency. Meaning for years and years and years, I had no plan. I just went with whatever was screaming the loudest. And little by little, year by year, I've dialed in my pre-decisions. And by making lots of pre-decisions, I've predetermined to invest my time in the places that matter most. You can do that too. Just start where you are, start small, and watch as your impact grows.